Ooh. What are the key elements of a great sprint retrospective? Whoa. The purpose of a retro is really to come away with a concrete improvement that team can take to be better. Okay? Around their process, not around the product. Many people in their early days get fixated on, we could deliver that thing better. That's a sprint review. It's important, but it's not the focus of the retrospective. The retrospective is, how do we as a team work better? How do we improve our people? Not by changing them, but what are the skills that we may want to add or share? Or our process, how we work together. Do we need to improve collaboration? Do we need to tighten up aspects of our work? Okay. So at its core, that's what we're looking for. Is the best retrospective is always one where you walk out with a way to improve as a team that everybody's on board with. Everybody goes, yeah, that will make us better. Okay. And as a team, you're willing and have the energy to take it forwards. Okay. But saying that is all well and good. It's not going to get you there on its own. Personally, I'm still a fan of Diana Larson and Esther Darby's Agile Retrospectives framework. 5-stage framework in their book, Agile Retrospectives, Making Good Teams Great, is a really strong foundation for any Scrum Master, anybody leading a retrospective to follow. It kicks off with setting the scene, bringing people into the retrospective, getting them talking, getting them opened up. As you'll hear very often, people talk in the first few minutes of a meeting. They're more likely to talk throughout it. And we really want that engagement. So we're going to set the scene. We're going to get people thinking about, how's the last sprint gone, or how's the last whatever you're retrospecting on gone. Okay. And that might be something as simple as a weather forecast, a weather report on the sprint. If the sprint had to have a weather report, what would be the symbol? What would the answer be? Maybe it was a bit stormy, maybe it was sunny, maybe it was somewhere in between. But for you personally, what was it? In the world of digital tools, I'm really liking using emojis and things. Just to get a flavour, it gives people broad options. There's no right and wrong here. It's about getting them looking for signs of how things are going, getting them engaged and interacting with each other and with the idea of improvement. We go from set the scene to gathering data. As a Scrum Master or somebody facilitating a retrospective, if you don't have the job title Scrum Master, you've likely got lots of data already available, stuff that's happened in the last sprint or so that you want to bring in. And that's great, bring it. But remember, most of the information that's really relevant to how this team operates is in people's heads. So we run lots of exercises, really divergent thinking, getting lots and lots of information out about the time frame, maybe focused on the topic that's important to the team, or maybe just a general idea of what's coming out, what's happened over the last few weeks or months. Okay, get it all out onto a wall so people can see it, and then we can move into stage 3, which is generating insights. We take a step back. Don't get bogged down in the detail just yet, but we want to take a step back. What are the patterns? What are the trends we can see? What's happening and where? Why is it interesting? Have those conversations, really get the insights. Where are the areas we could improve? And then that will naturally lead into, how can we improve? So we're going to decide what to do, stage 4. This is about drilling into 1 or maybe 2 topics and thinking, what are our options? What are our opportunities here? Which of those are we going to take? Many people will start with, what's the biggest thing we can do? What's the most impactful thing we can do? And I will advise you not to go there. Instead, what's the interesting thing? What do the team want to do? It may not be the most impactful thing. It may not be the most urgent thing. There may be this big, scary improvement that we need to make, but nobody wants to make it. So don't choose it. Because in choosing things that you feel obliged to do, right, you've got to summon energy from somewhere else, motivation from somewhere else to get it done. And in the pressure cooker that we often find inside product development, it falls by the wayside more often than not. Instead, guide your team to what interests them. I will often use an impact versus interest matrix and say, which ones are really going to have an impact on our team? Run that across the x-axis. And then up the y-axis, which ones do you want to do as a team? Which is really the thing you want to do? I would then go for the thing you're most interested in that is most impactful. Don't worry about the most impactful thing on its own, because you're not going to do it. If people are interested in it, they've got the motivation, they've got the will, they've got the energy to get it done. It's far more likely to be brought in and get done. So this is what we're doing. We're deciding what to do. Step 5 to close out the retrospective is just that. Close the retrospective. This is your opportunity for feedback. How was the retrospective? How did people find it? How could we improve it next time? It's an agile approach. We're always seeking that feedback, and it's an incredibly valuable one. Many people skip through it very quickly, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're a bit concerned that the feedback's not going to be fun. It's not going to be good. Okay, well, the team have got that for you anyway. Hopefully you're open to hearing it, and if you're avoiding it, it's likely because you need to hear it more than not. Okay. Take the time. Okay. It really does shape future retrospectives and how you work with that team. You're showing them feedback in action. You're showing them the vulnerability that you're open to be better. Okay? These are powerful, powerful ideas to bring into a team, and this is one way you can do it. I always remember one team that I worked with, very, very highly technical team, all very much analytical thinking, logic. So everything that I did with them was based around that. There was nothing really creative or, what I would often term tree huggy. It was all one side of the brain. And in this feedback section, there was a note left on a flip chart where I'd asked them to give me some feedback. And on that note, all it said was, it'd be great if we did something more arty, more creative, use that other side of our brain. And I thought, well, okay, I would not have dared do that with them, but they gave me permission, it was there. So the next retrospective, that's what we did. We kicked off the scene with posters. Create me a movie poster of the sprint. We learnt 2 radically different things. 1, they were terrible artists. Truly, truly awful. But they had great fun doing it because it was so different. But the other thing, and possibly more important than knowing their art skills, was the conversation was shifted dramatically. We'd activated a different way of looking and thinking and feeling about the work that we were doing. And that conversation uncovered things that we'd never talked about, that had clearly always been there, but because we were focused so much on the analytical, that we hadn't talked about it. That retrospective radically shifted that team. They became so much better. They became more open in their conversations going forwards. And it would never have happened if I hadn't taken the time to get the feedback as part of closing the retrospective. So the 5-stage framework is really how I start. Any retro that I'm thinking about, I will go there. It's great once you learn it as a tool, as a framework, because you can slot different exercises in, and over time you'll learn what works for you, what works for your team. Okay? Which ones are quick, which ones are easy. Maybe the team's had a bad day and you just want to get them in, get them chatting, make them feel better, get that improvement and get out the door. You'll have some over time. So as you facilitate these retrospectives, as you plan them, keep a track of what you've done. I have a lovely long list of all the retrospectives that I've led over the years. And what that means is, in a pinch, I can go back to it and I don't have to replan. I know what's worked. I've got notes in there that tell me this bit worked, that didn't, and this is why I think it was. This is how I would improve it next time. I run retrospectives on my own retrospectives. Okay. So if you've got to facilitate a retrospective, I would highly recommend Diana and Esther's book, Agile Retrospectives, as a starting place. There's loads of other resources online that I'm more than happy to let you know about in the future. If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.